Now, fullbacks. Anthony Seibold has confirmed Turbo will be fullback in 2024 and a positional switch wasn't even looked at. Thoughts on... So, I don't think... Look, I'm not surprised he confirmed he'll play fullback. I am surprised at him saying we didn't even consider anything else. Thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, I definitely would have considered playing him at centre. I would have settled on playing fullback. I think the other thing we need to remember with Turbo is that, you know, in a weird way, like I'm almost glad that last year it wasn't a leg injury. He went to Origin. He got a pec injury. It's going to happen. So it has been, granted he missed a lot of footy last year, but it has been 2 years since he's had a lower leg injury that we've been worried about for so long. So I would have played him at fullback as well. And maybe, I'm confident, despite what Seibold says, that at some point during the preseason they would have considered it. But I think this is just a vote of confidence that we're back in Turbo in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we sat here 12 months ago and we were sort of saying, do you start the season with him at centre, ease him back in? But like Guru's right, it was a pec injury last year. It wasn't his hammy going, so he got through enough games with that hammy in his, his regular injury history. So I'm happy for him, more than happy to be starting at fullback, lock and load there when he is arguably the best fullback in the game, pretty close to it. And I'm really excited to see what Tolatau Kohler and his role this year. I think he will slot into that roaming centre a little bit. Not necessarily position himself at fullback as such and do massive switches with Tommy, but I do think he'll get involved and be scheming in and around the ruck a little bit more, which is, well, like they'd be mad if they didn't the way he finished last year. So that's exciting. But Tommy at fullback,
the only thing and why I'm quite bullish on the centre is and I know I get it. He actually injured his pec whilst playing centre. I understand that. But it's like, when you look at the last 5 years, it's like, I just want him on the field for as long as possible, for as many games as possible, because you could even tell last year, and granted, like, he still was on the field, he still did his job, and he still actually, when you look at his stats and everything, he still actually was playing some good footy. He still didn't feel comfortable, and that's what reps on the field give you. It makes you comfortable. And so that's why I'm like, with centre, you can just ease him back in so that by the time he does get back into that fullback jersey, he's fully like, oh, yeah, I'm back. Like, I'm ready to go.
It's funny. Like, I remember watching him. We were in Canberra that night and he was playing the Dolphins and he absolutely tore them a new one. And I remember sitting back then going, okay, this might be Turbo back here. Looked comfortable, looked ready to go. And then does the pec 2 weeks later.
Wasn't it Canberra where he killed it before the Origin game?
Yeah.
There was a game against the Dolphins where he absolutely blitzed them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Yeah, he absolutely killed it against the Dolphins. And I remember sitting back and watching that game going, okay, it looks like he's back to himself now. Because like we've got to remember as well, like round 1 he came out and I think he still scored 2 or 3 tries. He had a great game. But there was a few times where he got into space and just offloaded the ball against Canterbury at the start of last season. So, yeah, it was really disappointing how it played out, obviously, from a state of origin perspective.
Yeah.
One. But for Turbo as well last year, it was a little bit unlucky last season.
Yeah, he blitzed Canberra just before Origin, and we're like, okay, there's your audition, get him in, and then blitzed Dolphins. Might have been after Origin 1.
After, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those. He's one of those players that you absolutely love because he is like, if you wanted any young kid to look up to someone, it's Tom Trbojevic. But you have to ask a question. And I love Tommy, but if it goes through another year like this, like what do? You have to start asking really tough questions as a club. He's got till 2026, was it? The contract, big contract. It's just they're literally between a rock and a hard place.
Big questions to be had if he plays a handful of games this year.
And then look, I think that he absolutely should be, the contract should be honoured. But it doesn't change the fact that we're always big believers that contracts should be honoured, but that's not the history of it. Like clubs, when situations like this happen, they begin to explore options, all that good stuff. So look, fingers crossed, touching wood. Tommy Trbojevic, his year where he absolutely killed it, like that was so good for rugby league. Like think about how much ratings that got us. It was just a massive boon for rugby league. So I really, really hope that he plays.
Isn't it crazy when you look back to that season? He played 18 games. He scored 28 fucking tries.
That was a year with all those rule changes, as in they went even further with the rule changes.
It was Tommy Turbo ball.
Yeah, perfect for him.
You have a look over the last 4 seasons. He's played 43 games.
Yeah, that's like tough.
10.8 or something a season.
As a key signing as well.
Especially a club that builds their entire franchise around 3 key signings.
Yeah, tough. And I mean, look, the current CEO and Seibold, they actually didn't re-sign Turbo. I think he was re-signed before, everything went pear-shaped. So Mate, I really, really hope. Isn't Manly just such an intriguing squad heading into this year, because they genuinely could go from premiership threats to like bottom 6 just because of one player.
Yep.
And it's like almost not a question as to where. Now, maybe Luke Brooks will ease that pain because I think he's a good player, but they really are a team that, and you could say that about a lot of things, but I don't see, like, for example, Penrith don't go from premiership threat to bottom 6 if they lose Cleary. You know, they would go down, but like Manly, it really is a Tom Trbojevic or bust, really.
There's honestly not much more you can say.
Like,
just is what it is.
Fuck, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, well, I can't believe. I reckon they did have a think about moving him elsewhere, but you got to roll out the company line. Turbo at fullback, you just said it. They can make the top 4. Turbo injured or not at fullback, I don't reckon they're a real threat. So
Okay, so even Turbo at centre, you reckon?
No.
No. Okay, interesting.
Because they're into, like, as you said, like how much they rely on him. Like, I remember back in the day, like Joey for Newcastle. Like, with him, they could have been $1.50 favourite. He'd get ruled out and they'd go to $3 fucking. It was unbelievable. And they're not far off that without Turbo.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Jason Demetrio has said Latrell Mitchell is getting ready for a full season at fullback. He actually did say, did you get the quote up? But he actually did say, I discussed it with Latrell. Correct?
yeah, I'll get the quote.
Yeah. So he actually did say it. Now, it was discussed. You know, we sat down, we had to talk about it, which I like. I like the honesty from Demetrio. Latrell Mitchell, like this idea. Look, I get it. There are parts in his game sometimes where, you know, his kick coverage, especially the short kicking game, needs improvement. But you could look at any. Okay, so you go, all right, Dylan Edwards. No one ever sits there and goes, well, he shouldn't be a fullback because he's not a good ball player. But with Latrell, because has that one shortcoming in his game of, okay, he doesn't cover, you know, short kicks as well, they go, I shouldn't be a fullback. He should just go to centre. It's like, think about all he offers at fullback. Like, are we forgetting that this guy is his try assist and his ability to break games open from fullback is nothing short of incredible? I think that the argument whether he should be a fullback or a centre at the Rabbitohs, now maybe at other clubs would be different, but at the Rabbitohs, I think it's not even an argument anymore. I can't believe it's being questioned. Me personally, thoughts, Guru?
No, I agree. He's got downfalls. All players do. That's the reality of it. But yeah, I wouldn't even be, especially when you look at their squad with Campbell Graham and Jack Wighton in the side. It's a no-brainer for me. I appreciate him saying that he had the conversation with Latrell. It's a conversation I probably wouldn't have even had. I think South Sydney are out there. But if I'm playing South Sydney, I would much rather take on South Sydney with Latrell Mitchell at centre than a fullback.
Absolutely. Timmy?
Yeah, I think anyone out there who looks at that side and thinks they're better with Latrell Mitchell playing anywhere other than fullback has got rocks in their head. Like they said, he's not perfect, but there's not a fullback. There's not a player in the modern game who's perfect. Probably like he said, you ask yourself, what does the opposition not want? It's Latrell Mitchell at fullback. It's roaming. It's being that finesse on the end of a back line. It's his powerful kick returns. Yeah, sure, there's a few shortfalls, but as I said, every player's got a few, and there's no reason why he can't improve on his positioning in defence and a few other things yeah.
And surely they're working on that, you know, his fitness and everything this year, heading into the year, identifying, okay, we could be better here, we could be better there. So, yeah, look, I get the fact that you put him in centre and he's arguably the greatest centre of all time, like literally. So I get that argument because he is so unbelievable at centre. Like you see him at Origin and you're like, what the hell is going on here? But you look at that squad and you go, Latrell Mitchell at fullback. Go back and just watch his highlights since he's been there at the Rabbitohs. Like, it is actually mind-blowing some of the stuff that he's been able to pull off.
I also think, you know, if you want him to play centre so much, who's going to be your fullback in this side? Who are you going to win a comp with that's in that squad that can play fullback?
Yeah, and the only reason he wasn't, fullback at the Roosters was because Teddy was there.
Yeah,
like the second best fullback of all time, essentially, second or third.
The other thing about him is he's had his development at fullback at the Bunnies in recent years. I don't want to make an excuse for him and around a few effort areas, particularly in defence and support play and these sorts of things, but he has missed big chunks of games, like at different stages in recent years, and it probably has impacted his fitness. Maybe he hasn't been at where he's wanted to be fitness-wise. Across the, like if he can get a whole season in and his body's where it needs to be and his fitness is at near enough 100%, maybe these little things like effort areas, they will improve. We'll see them go out of his game. So it all sounds like he's fit, ready to rock for round one. Great thing, and it's exciting.
A full preseason, him at fullback. I'm not sure. Did he have a full preseason last year? I think he did, but he got injured at the end of 2022. Anyway.
Yeah, because he missed, was it 2022 he missed finals? Got injured just before it? No. World Cup. Missed finals the year before.
Yeah. So, I am super excited to see what Latrell Mitchell does this year, because if there's one player that you could nearly slot in nearly any side and him at his best, he could literally lead nearly any side to a premiership.
We were sitting here at the end of the season and he's just busted the record for most Dally M votes.
100%.
Potentially, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nothing would shock.
He's the kind of guy that, let's say you put him in, I don't know, the Dragons or the Tigers. He lifts other people. The best version of himself lifts other people. Now, those squads, obviously you'd need to recruit a little bit, but he's the guy that could attract recruitment. I don't think we're so used to Latrell Mitchell, we just forget how big of a superstar he is. He is genuinely once in a generation superstar talent. There you go. That's scary. It's his first full preseason at South, guys. Matty has just confirmed.
Yeah, that is scary.
That is scary.
He's quite right about that. You mentioned about how he can attract other players to the club. I reckon he just looked a little bit just I don't know, flat or whatever last couple of years, even when he's been playing. But I wonder how much of an impact getting Jack Wighton, his best mate, to the team will actually give him a bit of a boost and a bit of a lift, and maybe they'll bring the best out of each other through the year as well.
And I already think that's evident, just on their social media. I'm seeing Latrell jump behind the camera all the time now, and he's filming Jack around training and geeing each other up. I think it's very evident with Latrell Mitchell that when his mood's high and he's flying, that's when he plays his best footy.
Absolutely.
And the other thing, it's not the exact same as the halfback position, but whenever we talk about halves, and we always say it with Nathan Cleary, is that they reach their best at 28, 29. I said it doesn't completely translate to fullback. It's not the exact same, but he's freaking 26 years old, Latrell.
It's insane.
So these things like positioning in defence at fullback, where after playing centres, I know it was a while ago now, but he's still going to learn these things and learn his craft and learn how to play. He's 26.
It is actually bizarre. When you say that and you go, oh, Latrell Mitchell's still only 26 years old. People are only starting to hit their peak now.
Yep.
He's already done everything. Literally everything.
Great to see Jack Wighton smiling and getting some sun. First time in 10 years too.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know he could smile. I don't think at the Raiders I ever saw him smile. Did you see him smile at the Raiders?
I remember him crying at the back end of last year.
Yeah, I do remember him very upset because he was this has been tough.
I give it about a month into the season and he won't have any good fishing spots around Sydney to go to, no hunting spots out in the bush.
No good chicken stalls.
Won't be able to get home easily. He'll be caught up in the big smoke and say, I want out, I want back to the Raiders. I'll sign
really?
I'll sign on 200K, I just need to get back home.
You're predicting a backflip mid-season to the Raiders.
It's inevitable, isn't it?
It's very expensive to get the old Kingsley's Uber Eats stuff up the highway, isn't it? And a bit of Goodbury's frozen custard there.
Big factor.
Yeah, big Canberra double.